It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops. Goulet!
Welcome to 2016 and welcome to Full Court Press, the first episode of the new year. How's it going? I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet, joined as per usual via Skype with the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi. How goes it, my friend?
It goes very splendid, sir.
Excellent.
How about you?
I'm great. I'm so great. Just
I always have to add in that English accent, you know? I don't know. That British accent I say.
it just comes naturally. That's what happens.
You were saying?
I was just saying that today, the day of this episode's recording, just a few hours ago, the NBA announced the All-Star starters for the 2016 NBA All-Star Game. This is big. That's what we're going to start the episode off with. I think we're also going to talk about some Raptors basketball, some Golden State Warriors basketball, and just other happenings around the league. Just before we get into the All-Star talk, how you been? How's life?
I've been good. Just working hard, slaving away, just giving her.
Making that cashola, right?
Oh yeah.
Right on, man. Oh, I've been good too. I'm just same as you, working hard, making the cash, slaving away, as as you say. No, things are really good though, and it was cool over the Christmas holidays and New Year's time to swing back to Ontario to visit you. Actually, we got to check out a Raptors game.
Yes, the Raindrops and the Nard Dogg Full Court Press went off to the ACC, and we watched the Raptors versus the Mavericks. Gotta love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm really glad that we got to get tickets to go see a game, because the last game that we went to, actually, we had been to a couple of games in Jurassic Park, but we hadn't actually been to a game inside the ACC. I think the last game was the first Drake night.
Yeah, a couple years ago against the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So it was cool to make our return to the ACC actually inside the building this time. And we got to see Dirk Nowitzki live, which for me, I don't know about you, Nard Dogg, but for me, that was a huge thrill because Dirk's a player that I've looked up to ever since I was a little kid. So,
Disco Dirk?
Disco Dirk.
Yeah, he's for sure Hall of Famer, obviously.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no doubt about that. Future Hall of Famer for sure. And it was a good game, too. It was close. The final was 103-99. Really close game.
Yeah. And we saw some action from former Raptor Charlie Villanueva.
We did, yeah. And we got to see DeLon Wright out on the court, right?
And the Canadian superstar, Anthony Bennett.
It's funny because we saw Bennett shooting around. I brought up Bennett's name, and you mentioned him being on the Raptors D-League affiliate, the Raptors 905, and saying he was going to play that night. And then, I think it was almost right after you said that, substituting into the game, number 15, Anthony Bennett. So I was like, oh, all right, cool.
Remember at halftime when Bennett was out there shooting, and he was making, I think it was like...
7.
Was it 7 threes in a row?
7 threes in a row.
And then he enters the game. It was the third quarter or fourth quarter. I can't remember. And he just absolutely bricks the shot. He's a nice guy though.
A player with a lot of skill, but he still needs to fine tune a lot of those skills. He's still got a lot to learn.
And that's what the Raptors 905 are for.
Exactly. And they've been good for Bruno Caboclo, getting some great experience with the 905. Lucas Nogueira. Bebe Nogueira. Guys like Norman Powell. So it's pretty cool that the Raptors actually have their official development league team.
Enough about the D-League. Let's go to the All-Star selections.
Ooh, okay, so we're shifting over to the A-League. Keeping in tune with the Raptors. Yeah, All-Star starters. Kyle Lowry,
second year in a row, he gets bowed in. Last minute, too.
Last minute, just like last year. Because I thought I said to myself, there has to be at least one Raptor in the starting lineup, and I think it's going to be Kyle Lowry over DeMar DeRozan. Nothing against DeMar, and DeMar should be joining Kyle on the All-Star team when they announce the list of reserves. But Kyrie Irving really had a good shot at finishing in the backcourt for the Eastern Conference All-Stars.
Here's the thing: the Raptors fans are incredible. Let's see. Irving was leading Lowry by 30, I think it was 33,000 votes last week. What do Raptors fans do? They don't even need help from Bieber or Drake. They do it themselves, and they get Lowry into the All-Star game.
We the North, so strong. I love it.
I believe he finished with something like 65,000 more votes than Irving.
Well, the final tally was, just looking at the specific numbers, for Lowry, 646,441 votes, and Kyrie Irving had 580,651 votes. So that's a huge jump for Lowry over Kyrie Irving. That's big.
Yeah.
And
you think last year he did the exact same thing to Dwayne Wade.
yeah, pretty crazy, right? And just on a side note, because we did go see the Raptors face the Dallas Mavericks, I don't know if you checked this out, but Zaza Pachulia went from 8th place to 4th place in All-Star voting for the West front court. Could you imagine if Zaza was an NBA All-Star starter?
It's things like that just make you, like, I don't know about this fan voting that, you know. I believe he finished 14,000 shy of making the starters.
Yeah, and he was he finished ahead of Draymond Green, which is a little surprising.
Draymond Green, he's awesome. He should be a starter, but the West is just too packed.
I agree.
And since Kobe's was made a forward, there was no chance that Draymond would get in there.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to see Kyle Lowry as an All-Star starter, especially because the 2016 All-Star game is in Toronto. And, we've got Dwayne Wade in there, so it's going to be a backcourt of Wade and Lowry, and then the front court for the East, Melo, Paul George, and LeBron, which I think that's a stacked lineup. That's a very good starting five.
It's a very small lineup.
It is a small lineup, and you look at the West. We've got Kobe, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, and Russell Westbrook. So All-Star 2016 in Toronto, the starting five, they're playing small ball.
Is the basketball big man dead in the NBA? Is it all small ball now?
I don't. There is a lot of small ball, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that the NBA big man is dead. You look at guys like Andre Drummond, even Greg Monroe,
DeMarcus Cousins, Kevin Love,
Zaza Pachulia, for that matter. Like
DeAndre Jordan.
No, it's an interesting point to bring that up. I don't think the NBA big man is dead per se, but I think the NBA big man is just different than what it used to be. Slightly different because they've had to change things up a little bit to play with that small ball because there's so much small ball in the league.
Yeah. And speaking of the Western Conference starters, we got Kobe. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on Kobe Bryant being a Western Conference All-Star starter. I know it's his last season, and I knew that he would be named a starter because it is a fan vote. So it's all based on popularity. But I think just if you're looking at it from stats-wise and playing this season perspective, there's more people that are deserving to be in that All-Star starting lineup. Even someone... The Rockets, I don't know if the Rockets are ever going to win a championship anytime soon, but James Harden could have been.
No way.
You don't think James Harden?
He's a good player, but he's not going to ever lead you to a championship. And I just think Kobe, you have to have Kobe as a starter in his final All-Star game. It's just there's no ends or buts. He has to be.
Taking away the fact that it's Kobe's final season. If Kobe was playing next year, if he was playing for 2 more years, 1 more season, do you think Kobe Bryant is deserving to be an All-Star starter, just looking at the rest of the Western Conference and taking away the fact that it's his last season?
If this wasn't Kobe's last season, then yeah, you can say Yeah, he should be starting, and honestly he probably would have taken the All-Star game off like he did the past couple seasons.
Exactly. The only reason that Kobe Bryant is an all-star starter this season is because it's his final NBA season. Because the Lakers are 9-35 so far this season, as of this episode, and Kobe's only averaging about 16 points a game, which is way below what his normal career averages are.
Yeah, you do this out of his respect for like in the game. That's I don't know. You can't go wrong with that selection.
Personally, I would have liked to see someone like Draymond Green be a starter.
Oh, for sure.
That would have been great to see. And I think his time is going to come. I wouldn't be surprised if Green was a starter next season if he keeps on playing like he's playing. But even this season, it would have been cool to see Draymond Green named as a starter and then kind of do something like it was Vince Carter that did this, stepped away from his starting spot and gave his starting spot to Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, over 10 years ago. So it would have been cool to see that.
I remember there was so much controversy over that. Everyone was just hating on Vince Carter because I believe he was injured at the time of getting voted in.
Yeah. So Kobe Bryant being named as a starter for the Western Conference All-Stars, it's just it's just a respect for Kobe Bryant, for the basketball player he is, because it's a popularity contest, of course, because it's fan voting, and there's many players that are more deserving to be starters than Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant has not been playing that well this season, and the Lakers haven't been playing well for the past few years. So, but those are just my thoughts, and you know my general thoughts on Kobe Bryant. So,
yeah. I can't wait for the reserves next week. Should be fun.
The reserves are going to be really cool to see because Draymond Green will be a reserve. Who else do you, because I've mentioned Green's name quite a bit. Who else do you think from the Warriors is going to be a reserve? Klay Thompson, Green.
Oh, for sure. They're going to have the big three in the Warriors land.
Of course.
In the did I say Warriors land?
The Warriors land?
I don't think they've ever referred to themselves as the Warriors land.
Whoa, it's a new thing. Let's start it.
But yeah, you got DeMarcus Cousins. He's got to be in it. Do you know that the Kings are? I think they're in the playoffs right now, or they're at least tied with Portland for 8th. Nuts.
Yeah, right now, the Kings are 18-23 right now. They're in 8th. Yeah, right above the Jazz, who are 18-24.
Yeah, right there. That puts Cousins in. Obviously, he's guaranteed All-Star.
Cousins, yeah.
I don't know if you put Blake Griffin in there, to be honest.
He's not playing that well this year. You put DeAndre Jordan in there.
Chris Paul.
You put Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan. But I think you could probably leave Blake Griffin out. I wouldn't mind that at all. I've never been the biggest Blake Griffin fan.
Let's shift it off to the East. There's a certain guy in the Raptors. He plays shooting guard. His initials are DD. DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan. Oh yes, DeMar DeRozan has to be an All-Star this season. Last year,
110%.
Last year it was just Lowry. That's because DeMar had some injuries to deal with.
He missed 20 games or so.
Yeah.
During that time, but
I think, especially with the All-Star game being in Toronto, you got to give, even regardless of that fact, DeMar DeRozan has been playing All-Star basketball.
To be honest, I think he's been playing better than Lowry this season. His jumper, his mid-range jumper, has been butter.
You could tell that he's put in so much work for that during the off season.
And I believe he leads the league in free throws attempts. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The Raptors, they're on the map. They've been on the map for a while. It's great to see. They're second in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yep, at 27-15.
Yeah.
6 in a row. 6 W's.
6 W's in a row. DeMar DeRozan he's playing like a champion. He's playing like an all-star. And if DeMar DeRozan doesn't make the all-star team, then that doesn't make sense.
And what we've seen this season is those two, Lowry and DeRozan, they basically take over in the last 5 minutes of the game.
They do. Yeah.
I love that. That's something that was kind of questionable last year, but this year it's going down pat. Patrick Patterson.
It's going to.
I don't know how that just happened, but we'll just leave it at that.
That was fantastic. Going.
Anyways,
Yeah, so who else do you think, aside from DeMar DeRozan, who is a shoo-in to be an All-Star reserve, who else in the Eastern Conference do you see making the All-Star team?
well, Reggie Jackson's had a huge season, and the Pistons are currently in the playoffs. So I think you got to give Reggie Jackson the spot.
That would be
There's
great.
There's also John Wall. He's had a decent season.
Yeah.
His Wizards they've kind of stumbled. They're I think 19-21, but without him they'd be a lottery team.
Oh, for sure.
And you got to figure Beal. He's been out, and yeah, you give Wall a spot. Oh, there's Jimmy Butler. How could I forget that guy?
How could you forget Jimmy Butler? Chicago Bulls.
The guy just went off the past few weeks. He's got to get a spot.
Jimmy Butler's been playing great. What do you think of Isaiah Thomas?
Oh, that's another one. Basically, any guard in the East right now should get a spot like that's not named Kyrie Irving.
So it is all guards. You look at the reserves. It's all guards. There's no forwards or centers.
There's Draymond, or not Draymond, Andre Drummond, obviously.
Andre Drummond. Yep.
There's Chris Bosh.
Yeah, Bosh.
Kevin Love. I think you give Chris Bosh a spot.
I think so. Like, I think Bosh is one of those guys that for the next few years, actually, Bosh is going to be one of those guys that's an all-star reserve.
You automatically give Drummond a spot, getting those 20 rebounds.
Mm-hmm. Beast.
Yeah.
Beast mode.
He could have been a Raptor, but the Raptors drafted Terrence Ross.
Yeah, well, we'll shy. We'll try to shy away. I'll try to rein you in for this episode. We'll try to. Terrence Ross he's actually been playing well. He's been playing well.
I'll admit it.
Oh, this is happening. This is happening. Nard Dogg is admitting it. Whoa.
He's okay. Well, I'll be honest. He won't be one of those players that will every game he'll give you 15, 20 points. But when he's been scoring a lot, hitting those threes, playing his D. Yesterday he made a huge block late in the fourth quarter, which was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was.
And honestly, as long as he hits his threes and plays his D, then I'm okay with him getting $33 million over 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's it's almost like he got a slap in the face or something, and he's trying to prove that he's worth that money.
Yeah.
I still don't know if he's worth that much, but before we kind of shift away from the All-Star talk, what do you think about Anthony Davis?
Great player. He should be an All-Star, but I think the fact that his team basically sucks this season, he shouldn't get in.
Yeah, he actually finished 9th in the Western Conference for starters voting.
I feel like if you're a reserve, the only way you should get in is if your team is in the playoffs or at least fighting for a playoff spot.
Like doing well, and you're an integral part of that.
Yes, the Pelicans are 4 games back of a playoff spot, but I don't see them gaining anything on the teams that are ahead of them.
No.
And the West is packed.
The West is packed as per usual.
Yes, you can say they can catch up to the Kings and Blazers, who own a 4th or an 8th spot in the East or the West, but I don't know. Anthony Davis is going to make the All-Star game, 15 times in his career? More than that? Just leave it be this year.
As you said, it's going to be cool to see what happens next week when they reveal the All-Star reserves.
Yeah,
so,
reserves.
What's that?
The reserves.
The
I don't know how that just came out.
You're excited. That's what happened. I'm looking forward to it too. Now, you mentioned that the Western Conference is stacked. Well, definitely stacked and led by the one and only Golden State Warriors. Like, wow. Golden State Warriors right now as we're talking here, they're 39-4. Are they going to finish 72-10? Are they going to do better than 72-10 or worse than 72-10?
Huh.
Oh my, what's this?
Let's see about that.
We know what song. Wait a second. I see what you did there. Chicago Bulls theme song. 72-10 season, right?
Yeah. Yep. Back in '96. 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Wow.
But I was reading something the other day that some of the Bulls players might actually celebrate from that season. Might actually celebrate if the Warriors lose that 11th game of the season.
If I was part of that Bulls roster and still, because that's the best record that a team's finished with, and if they still hold on to that, guys that, aren't huge names or anything, if they still hold on to that, sure, I understand why they'd be celebrating.
Yeah, good old Hall of Famer Randy Brown, backup point guard. I think he was third string. He said he's going to pop champagne if the Warriors lose that 11th game.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because, no disrespect, but Randy Brown, that's probably, as far as basketball goes, in the NBA, that's what he holds on to, the fact that he was part of that 72-10 Chicago Bulls roster, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So what do you think? Do you think the Warriors are going to do it? Do you think they're going to tie the record, beat the record, or do you think they're going to lose that 11th game?
Here's the thing. They are currently 39-4. And I don't know, the first part of the season, that's the easiest, obviously. When it comes down to the stretch, it's going to get a lot harder. And the fact is, they haven't even played the Spurs yet. They play them, I think it's on Monday. And we'll see from there. If they blow out the Spurs, then I think there's a real shot that they might actually do it.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more possible if they blow out the San Antonio Spurs, a true basketball dynasty.
But currently, this week, they, as everyone saw, they destroyed the Cleveland Cavaliers.
They did. Yeah, they dominated them.
And then the very next game, they destroy the Bulls. You can argue that those are the two best teams in the East, other than the Raptors. And that's I don't know.
And the Raptors have given the Warriors a good fight.
That's
that's
a funny thing.
Yeah.
The Raptors are basically the only team in the East that's actually given them a fight. And the Raptors could have easily won two of those games. One of the games was shitty refereeing, but I'll just not talk about that.
But if they dominate the San Antonio Spurs, then that kind of ups their chances. It's almost like, all right, it's very possible that you could better that 72-10 record.
And they played the Clippers, I think, twice this season already, and those games went down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how they played the Thunder. I'd have to look that up, but I don't know. We'll see when they play the Spurs next week.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big game. It's the first time they're facing the Spurs in the season. That's a big game.
The Spurs have 3 less wins than them. They're 36-6.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, maybe people are paying less attention to the Spurs because the Warriors went on that huge winning streak to start the season, right?
It's just so funny. The Spurs it just seems like they're always under the radar, and they're 36-6. They're 30 games over 500.
Because the Spurs are one of the least flashy teams in all of sports. That's why they do so well. They play that basic basketball, and it just gets them so far because they have now with Kawhi Leonard, they have four of the best on the planet. Tim Duncan is still, he's not putting up these huge numbers like he used to, but he's still playing well. Oh, and they've got LaMarcus Aldridge as well, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Kawhi Leonard.
And Matt Bonner.
And of course, yeah, Red Rocket, Matt Bonner.
They're 24-0 at home.
Yeah, so...
And I believe they haven't lost a game at home since last February. Something like that. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, pretty wild, eh?
Indeed, sir.
So how do you think the Raptors are going to fare? They put up a good fight against the Golden State Warriors. And the Raptors, as of this episode, right now, they've won 6 in a row. They defeated the Boston Celtics in their last matchup. Amir Johnson's return to the ACC.
That got me going. I love seeing that.
Me too. I'm always, it always kind of like gets the emotions flowing when you see those tribute videos.
Yep, the Raptors always keeping it classy for their former players, giving them that, I believe it's the end of the first quarter tribute.
It's great. It's really nice to see. And I'm sure like someone like Amir Johnson, who put in so much heart and soul and hustle to the Toronto Raptors organization and to the city of Toronto, I'm sure he appreciated that.
He wasn't the best player in Raptors history. He wasn't the most talented player. But he was the most popular player, I'd say, amongst the fans.
In recent years, yeah, I'd say he was definitely one of the most popular players in Raptors history. Like he's right up there with Junkyard Dog and Vince Carter before the fans kind of turned on Carter.
Yeah, and the guy even had the Raptors claw shaved into his head. What a guy.
Definitely one of my favorite Raptors, and I was really bummed when he left the Raptors for Boston. I was happy that because I think it was the same day or the day after we found out that we got DeMarre Carroll, so that was cool.
Yeah.
DeMarre Carroll's doing a solid job with Toronto.
He could be more healthy. That's the way of being a pro athlete.
Exactly. Yeah, you got your bumps and bruises, and sometimes those put you on the sidelines.
The Raptors are 27 and 15 right now.
Yeah.
And at around this time last year is when Lowry kind of took that downfall where he was named a starter in the All-Star and he just started.
So this is big for him because he's a starter for the second year in a row. And possibly a string of being named a starter he may be a starter, if he keeps this play up, he's going to be a starter again next year, and it could be like a continuous thing for him. He could be an all-star starter regular, who knows. But this is big because, yeah, like you said, around the time he was named a starter, it's kind of when he went on that downslope and didn't really play like the Kyle Lowry we know and love. And then, we went into the playoffs and the Raptors were swept by the Wizards, and we don't want to talk about that. But this is big because Kyle Lowry's in that same spot. I think he's playing better. Well, he's playing really well. So it's going to be a big test for him to see if he can actually keep up that strong play after the All-Star break and bring that into the playoffs. Because I feel like DeMar is going to keep up that high level of play.
Like I said earlier, I feel like DeRozan's had a better season. And that's saying a lot about their backcourt this year. Right?
It's a great backcourt. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
And as you've seen in the past couple weeks, their post-game interviews have been hilarious.
Oh, you can tell.
They're basically best friends. They're best friends.
They are. Like you can tell that they have that off-court chemistry. You go on Instagram, there's pictures of them at they were posting pictures of them at Jays games during the playoffs. Just hanging out outside, out off the court. It's great to see that camaraderie outside their profession.
Yeah, in London, there's a few pictures of them hanging out.
Yeah.
Speaking of London, do you think they should have more games in Europe?
I think it's a cool idea. I think it's pretty neat because they've done the London games for the past few years now as part of their NBA Global campaign. You could spread out. You can do these specialty games. You can touch down on different continents. You could do a game in Africa, NBA Africa game, because they do. I'm pretty sure they do have.
They had a preseason game, I believe.
Yeah, it just expands because there's more and more international. There's always been international players in the league, but there's more and more. Especially there's more Canadians in the league now, and it just expand the market for the National Basketball Association and touch down on different areas of the world and bring that influence of basketball around the world because they have the power to do that. It would be cool.
Do you think we'll ever see a team in, say, London?
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see some expansion.
Yeah, the only problem is the travel schedule.
Yeah, that's the thing with Europe because of the time difference and everything. Because between the different states and coming to Canada, the time differences aren't that big. But if you go to Europe, you're talking 6 hours and more.
Yeah.
So that could cause some problems.
We'll see.
See what happens. Well, that covers everything we wanted to talk about this episode of Full Court Press. Nard Dogg, is there anything else that you want to throw out there? I think that's everything.
I think that covers it all. We'll dive into it after they announce the reserves of the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty big. That's when we can get really truly excited because we'll have the full All-Star East and West team rosters all laid out. Yeah, we'll talk about the reserves and just see who was omitted from the team, who kind of got those all-star snubs, and
it's those snubs that always get you.
Oh yeah,
that just make you feel bad. There's always a few of them.
There's gonna be some surprises, so I am looking forward to chatting about that and getting your thoughts on all that, Nard Dogg.
I'll be livid if DeRozan gets left off.
Oh, same here. I will not be happy.
He's a guarantee.
He's a guarantee. Well, even though the fan voting is all wrapped up, we'll keep on showing our love for DeMar on social media, trying to get the NBA's attention.
The amount of #NBA votes that were around.
It's great.
Especially on my timeline.
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful. Yeah, you had the campaign going really strong.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Nard Dogg, where can people find you on the interweb?
Well, they're both the same now. My Twitter and Instagram handles are @DavidBernardi7. Pretty simple.
Right on. Awesome. They're both the same now. Finally. That's good stuff, Nard Dogg. Yeah, you can find me online, Instagram, Twitter, @JustinGoulet21. Get in touch with us, chat with us, and make sure to like the Full Court Press Facebook page.
Yeah. Give her a like.
Give her a like. And yeah, just stay tuned for the next episode. We'll cover the NBA All-Star Reserves. So, happy 2016. Welcome to the new year, Nard Dogg.
And same to you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Full Court Press. Until next time, I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet, joined as always by
the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi.
Thanks, Nard Dogg. Always a pleasure, good sir.
Indeed.
Alrighty, we will catch you on the next episode of Full Court Press.
Cheers.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops. Goulet.